Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, introduce me. My name is Azzahr. Sukma. My name is 18821500046. Subject information English grammar. Azzahr, Mr. Franscy. I will explain about recorded speech, and here is where my presentation begins. Recorded speech. Direct and indirect, or reported speech introduction. There are two ways of relating what a person has said, direct and indirect. In direct speech, we repeat the original speaker's exact words. He said, "I have lost my umbrella." Remarks this repeated are placed between inverted commas, and a comma is placed immediately before the remark. Direct speech is found in conversation, in books, in plays, and in quotations. In indirect speech, we give the exact meaning of a remark or a speech without necessarily using the speaker's exact words. Like, he said that he had lost his umbrella. There is no comma after say in indirect speech. That can usually be omitted after say until plus object, but it should be kept after other verbs. Complain, explain, object, point out, protest, etc. Indirect speech is normally used when conversation is recorded verbally, though direct speech is sometimes here to give a more dramatic effect. When we turn direct speech into indirect, some changes are usually necessary. Pronouns and adjective change necessary. First and second person pronouns and possessive adjectives normally change to the third person, except when the speaker is reporting his own words. I, he, she, me equal him, her, mine equal his, her, mine equal his, hers, we equal they. Like the example, she said, "He's my son," and it can be, she said that he was her son. I'm ill, she said, and she said that she was ill. Be this or this. So this use in time expressions usually becomes that. Like she said, she's coming this week. And for that, she said that she was coming that week. This and that use as adjectives usually change to the. He said, "I bought this pearl or these pearls for my mother." He said that he had bought the pearl or pearls for his mother. This or this used as pronouns can become it, they, or them. He came back with two nips and said, "I found this beside the king's bed." He said he had found them. Them is refers to two nips beside the king's bed. Or the other example, he said, "We will discuss this tomorrow." He said that they would discuss it. It refers to the matter. The matter is what they will discuss in the next day. Expressions of time and place in indirect speech. Adverbs and adverbial phrases of time change as follows. There are two, direct speech and indirect speech. Today, direct speech today it's gonna be that day. In indirect speech, direct speech yesterday, and in indirect speech that will be the day before. The day before yesterday in indirect speech, 2 days before. Direct speech tomorrow in indirect speech, the next day or the following day. Direct speech the day after tomorrow in indirect speech in 2 days time. Direct speech next week or year, etc. In indirect speech the following week or year, etc. Last week or year, etc. In indirect speech the previous week or year. Direct speech a year or ago, and in indirect speech a year before or the previous year. For example, I saw her the day before yesterday. He said. He said he'd sent her 2 days before. I'll do it tomorrow, he promised. He promised that he would do it the next day. She said, my father died a year ago. She said that her father had died a year before or the previous day. I saw her the day before yesterday is a direct speech, and he said he'd seen her 2 days before is indirect speech. B. But if the speech is made and reported on the same day, this time changes are not necessary. At like example, at breakfast this morning he said, I'll be very busy today. And in the speech, at breakfast this morning he said that he would be very busy today. See, here can become there, but only when it's clear what task is made. Example, at the station he said, I'll be here again tomorrow. And in direct speech, he said that he'd be there again the next day. Usually, here has to be replaced by some phrase. She said, you can sit here, Tom. Direct speech. And in direct speech, she told Tom that he could sit beside her. Statements in indirect speech. Tense changes necessary. A. Indirect speech can be introduced by a verb in the present tense. He says that this is usually when we are A. Reporting a conversation that is still going on. B. Reading a letter and reporting what it says. C. Reading instructions and reporting them. D. Reporting a statement that someone makes very often, e.g. Tom says that he'll never get married. When the introductory verb is in a present perfect or future tense, we can report the direct speech without any change in tense. Paul, phoning from the station. I'm trying to get a taxi. N. A and M. To Mary, who is standing beside her. Paul says he is trying to get a taxi. B. But indirect speech is usually introduced by a verb in the past tense. Verbs in indirect speech have then to be changed into a corresponding past tense. The changes are shown in the following table. Direct speech and indirect speech. The left we got direct speech, and in the right we got indirect speech. Simple present indirect speech is I never admit, he explained. Simple past, so we use simple past for indirect speech. For example, he explained that he he never admit. I'm so sorry. Direct speech, present continuous in indirect speech. I'm waiting for Anne, he said. Past continuous in indirect speech. He said that he was waiting for Anne. Present perfect in indirect speech. I have found a flat, he said. And we use past perfect in indirect speech. He said that he had found a flat. Present perfect continuous indirect speech. He said, I've been waiting for each. We use past perfect continuous in indirect speech. He said that he had been waiting for ages. Simple past indirect speech. I took it home with me, she said. And we use past perfect in indirect speech. She said that he had taken it home with her. Oh, no. Eh, bener. She said that he had taken it home with her. Future indirect speech. He said, I will or shall be in Paris on Monday. We use conditional in indirect speech. He said that he would be in Paris on Monday. Future continuous direct speech. I will or shall be using the car myself on the 24th, she said. Conditional continuous in indirect speech. She said that she'd be using the car herself on the 24th. Conditional in indirect speech. I said I would like to see you. And conditional in indirect speech. I said that I would like to see. Questions in indirect speech. Direct question, he said, where is she going? Indirect question, he asked where she was going. A. When we turn direct questions into indirect speech, the following changes are necessary. A. Tenses, pronouns, and possessive adjectives and adverbs of time and place change as in statements. B. The interrogative form of the verb changes to the affirmative form. C. The question mark is omitted in indirect questions. In indirect questions. B. If the introductory verb is say, it must be changed to a verb of inquiry, e.g., ask, wonder, want to know, etc. For example, he said, where is the station? In indirect speech, he asked where the station was. C. Acts can be followed by the person address. Indirect object. For example, he asks, what have you got in your bag? And in indirect speech, he asks me what I had got in my bag. But wonder and want to know cannot take an indirect object. So if we wish to report a question where the person address is mentioned, we must use ask. For example, he said, Mary, when is the next train? And in indirect speech, he asked Mary when the next train was. D. If the direct question begins with a question word, like when, where, who, how, why, etc. The question word is repeated in the indirect question. For example, he said, why didn't you put on the brake? And in indirect speech, he asks her why she hadn't put on the brake. Other example, she said, what do you want? And in indirect speech, she asks them what they want. If there is no question word, if or whether must be used. Is anyone there? He asks. And in indirect speech, he asks if or whether anyone was there. Commands, requests, advice in indirect speech. Direct command. He said, lie down, Tom. Indirect command. He told Tom to lie down. Indirect commands, requests, advice are usually expressed by a verb of command or request advice plus object plus infinitive. A. The following verbs can be used: advise, ask, beg, comment, order, remind, tell, warn, etc. For example, he said, get your coat, Tom. And in indirect speech, he told Tom to get his coat. B. Negative comments, requests, etc. are usually reported by not plus infinitive. For example, don't swim out to four, boys, I said. And in indirect speech, I warned or told the boys not to swim out to four. that is my explanation about recorded speech. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. Also, I'm so sorry for the bad language, or there is wrong. That's all for my explanation about recorded speech. I hope you guys enjoy. Also, hope you guys have a good day.